Ancient Rome is all about epic emperors, mighty generals, and famous speakers like Julius Caesar and Cicero, right? Well, not entirely. While their stories are exciting, most of ancient Rome's greatness was built on the everyday lives of its regular citizens. These were the people who weren't focused on ruling the world, but were more concerned about simple things, like filling their bellies with bread, spending time with family, and finding ways to enjoy life. So how exactly did these average Romans live their lives? Let's dive into the video and see how a citizen in ancient Rome actually spent his entire day. When we talk about history, we actually have two ways of looking at it. Some historians like to zoom out and focus on the big picture stuff, such as wars, plagues, major events, and major changes that shape the world. These are called macro historians, and they help us understand how all the big events in history connect to get us where we are today. But then there are the micro-historians, and they zoom in close, studying the daily lives of ordinary people, what they ate, how they worked, and how they made sense of the world around them. Now the thing is, hardly anyone knows what the average Roman citizen ate for breakfast, when they were supposed to start work, or how they spent their free time. And that's such a shame. Micro-historians have dug deep into the details of ancient Roman life, and have been able to piece together some incredible insights. For example, we have the account of daily life in ancient Rome, detailed by historian Jérôme Carcopino in his 1936 book, Daily Life in Ancient Rome. He paints a picture of mornings in the city, where life began before sunrise. Imagine starting your day not because of a desire to seize the day, but because of the laughter of crowds passing by, the sharp calls of street vendors, or even bakers and coppersmiths beginning their work long before dawn. Without electric lights, Romans had to use daylight as much as possible. This meant they couldn't afford to waste time staying in bed or taking their mornings slow. They focused on getting things done before the sun went down. Breakfast was very simple, just a drink of water to begin the day. Instead of washing up in the morning, cleaning themselves was saved for later in the day during visits to the famous Roman bathhouses. These bathhouses were also important places for people to gather and socialize. In addition to public baths, the Romans also used public toilets called latrines. These were usually large open spaces with stone or marble benches placed along the walls. The benches had evenly spaced holes for seating, and beneath them, water flowed constantly to carry waste away into the sewer system. There was another water channel near the floor, which people used to clean themselves with sponges attached to sticks, known as a tersorium. These latrines were communal, meaning many people used them at the same time, offering little to no privacy. The morning in ancient Rome wasn't just about the rising sun. The city of Rome was loud, crowded, and busy. The streets were narrow and often unpaved. Fires and the city's rapid growth made things even more complicated. Visitors from outside the city could not bring carts inside the gates. They had to leave them behind and walk. This rule helped keep the streets from becoming too crowded. Only a few, like builders, were allowed to use carts. Julius Caesar made this rule to keep the city moving. In the afternoon, the city of Rome came alive with leisure and entertainment. After finishing their work by noon, Romans had the rest of the day to relax and enjoy themselves. The city buzzed with excitement as citizens explored all kinds of activities. They might go to the theater to see plays or cheer for their favorite charioteer at the races of the Circus Maximus. The Colosseum was another favorite destination. Crowds roared as gladiators battled, skilled hunters faced off against exotic animals, and on special occasions, the floor was turned into a watery stage for dramatic naval battle reenactments. Hungry spectators could grab snacks like almonds, plums, or pomegranates from vendors nearby. When no shows or spectacles were planned, Romans filled their afternoons strolling through the streets, playing games, or visiting the luxurious thermae, the grand public bathhouses. These were incredible places that offered everything from warm baths and cold pools to exercise areas and gardens. People exercised, relaxed in the baths, or socialized with friends for hours. Amazingly, the baths' water was heated through furnaces and brought in by aqueducts, showing just how advanced Roman engineering was. Pets were a common part of life in ancient Rome. Dogs were especially popular and served many purposes. From guarding homes to helping with hunting or simply being loyal companions, there were many types of dogs, ranging from large breeds like the Molossus, which were used as guard dogs, to smaller lap dogs similar to today's toy breeds. Cats were also kept as pets and were valued for their skill in catching pests like mice and rats. Wealthier Romans often had more exotic pets, such as monkeys, parrots, or doves, and some even kept fish in carefully decorated pools. At sundown, the grand Roman bathhouses closed their doors, though most people departed earlier to ensure enough time for their evening meal. Supper was the highlight of a Roman's day, especially since breakfast was often just water and lunch consisted of simple bread with cheese or cold cuts. For the rich patricians, supper could go on for hours and was a big event. Instead of sitting in chairs, they ate in fancy dining rooms while lying on comfy couches around low tables. They would lean on one arm and use the other hand to eat small, tasty portions of food. This way of dining was very different from how we eat today. When hosting dinner parties, Romans were expected to provide knives and spoons, but these were mainly used for cooking or serving food, not eating. Instead, people ate mostly with their hands, so washing them before, after, and even between courses was very important. Fancy feasts could have at least 7 different courses and included unusual dishes like dormice covered in honey and poppy seeds, or a stuffed pig. A very special treat was the red mullet, a rare and costly fish that some hosts would spend too much money on just to impress their guests. During these meals, Romans drank wine mixed with things like honey or resin. Drinking wine straight without mixing it was considered rude and improper. At night, the city of ancient Rome transformed into a shadowy and unpredictable place. While patricians became known for their lavish feasts and extravagant lifestyles, plebeians upheld values of modesty and restraint, even during their meals. On the walls of a home in Pompeii, advice for dining etiquette was painted, reminding guests to behave with dignity and avoid causing trouble. After the grand banquets of the wealthy, the walk home was anything but peaceful. Once the final goodbyes were exchanged, wealthy Romans were escorted home by slaves carrying torches to light the way. However, for the average plebeian, the streets of Rome after dark were less forgiving. The city had no street lamps, and most relied on watchmen to maintain order. But with Rome being so vast, the guards couldn't possibly oversee everything. Danger lurked in the dark streets, forcing many to rush home, barricade their doors, and close their shutters for safety. Nightfall in Rome was a time of mystery and caution, especially for those without the protection of wealth. So there you have it, a day in the life of a Roman citizen. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe so we can come up with amazing content like this.